The day Lucas found the rope marks on his mother's wrists, something inside him stopped. Not his breath, not his heart, but the part of him that still believed his wife was human. If the billionaire had walked in 5 minutes later, he would have never known the truth. He would have never seen the trembling of his mother's hands, never seen the panic in her eyes. Eyes that once carried whole worlds of warmth for him, never seen the cruel shadow standing behind her. The shadow he had married. But fate has a strange way of revealing hidden things, and that day, fate made him step inside his mansion earlier than planned. Because the moment Lucas's shoes hit the marble floor, he froze. His mother, the woman who raised him alone, who worked 3 jobs to feed him, who taught him dignity, who taught him that being black in this world meant standing 10 times stronger, was standing in the living room with tears on her cheeks, fresh bruises on her wrists, and fear so heavy it made the room choke. And behind her, holding a wet towel and glaring like a serpent caught mid-strike, was his wife. A silence thicker than concrete fell across the room. Lucas had seen many things in his life, business wars, hostile takeovers, political games, but nothing prepared him for that scene. Nothing. "Mom," he said softly, almost afraid she would break. She flinched at his voice, and that was the moment he knew something terrible had been happening here. Something his mother hid. Something his wife orchestrated. Something dark. Something violent. Because mothers don't flinch when their sons speak. Unless they've been pushed, hit, threatened, humiliated. His heart pounded so loudly he could barely hear anything else. He stepped closer, but his mother stepped back. That's when Lucas felt something inside him crack. The kind of crack men never truly recover from. His mother's name was Evelyn. 68 years old, small, soft-spoken, always dressed in neat pastels. A woman whose smile healed him faster than any medicine. She had been staying with them for 6 months. 6 months of what Lucas thought was comfort and peace. But now, looking at her swollen eyes, the way she clutched her hands, the faint red line on her wrist, he understood. She hadn't been resting. She had been surviving. And he never noticed. His wife, Miranda, folded her arms, not even trying to hide the disgust twisting her face. "You're home early," she said flatly. Lucas didn't look at her. His eyes were locked on his mother, who wouldn't meet his gaze. "Mom, what happened?" Evelyn shook her head violently, as though the truth itself was dangerous. "Nothing, baby. I'm fine." No mother calls her billionaire son baby, unless she's terrified or breaking. "Why are you crying?" he asked. "Lucas, I'm not. Who hurt you?" She closed her eyes. That was the only answer he needed. Miranda scoffed loudly. "Oh, for God's sake, don't start the dramatics." Lucas's voice dropped into something cold and sharp. "Shut up." Miranda froze. She had never heard that tone from him. The man known in boardrooms for his calm, strategic poise now sounded like a storm with a pulse. His mother's breathing turned shallow. She looked dizzy. "Sit down," Lucas said gently, guiding her to the sofa. But when he grabbed her wrist, she winced. He rolled up her sleeve, and what he saw made the blood in his veins turn into boiling steel. Red rope marks, fresh, tight, deliberate. His voice shook. "Who tied you?" Miranda clicked her tongue. "Oh, stop. She's old, Lucas. Her skin bruises if you look at it wrong." But his mother whispered, barely audible, "Lucas? Don't." That whisper broke him more than any scream. He lifted her chin softly. "Mom, did someone tie you to a chair?" Her silence was an answer, a devastating one. He turned to Miranda, chest rising and falling like an animal ready to strike. "You?" he said, his voice restrained fire. "You tied my mother?" Miranda rolled her eyes with entitlement. "Oh my God, Lucas, this is insane." She kept dropping things, breaking dishes, wandering around. "I simply secured her so she wouldn't get hurt." Someone had to control the situation. Control. That sick, cold word. His mother's hand trembled in his. "I didn't want to bother you," she whispered. "You were busy. You're always busy." Guilt punched him like a blade. He had been busy. Too busy to notice his mother was living in fear under his own roof. How long has this been happening? He asked. Her jaw quivered. Her eyes filled. I don't want to cause trouble, baby. Mom, tell me. Silence. Then, months. Lucas's heart stopped. Miranda snapped. Oh, please, don't act like she's some saint. She's been a nightmare. Slower than ever, complaining about everything. I asked her politely to help around the house, but she refused. She's useless. Lucas moved. Just one step, but Miranda stepped back as if something deadly had entered the room. Lucas was no longer looking at her like a husband. He was looking at her like a man facing the enemy who dared touch his blood. Help around the house? You mean you made her clean? He said. And why shouldn't she? Miranda snapped. She's not royalty. She is my mother. Lucas cut in, voice like ice. Miranda's lips curled with cold, racist disgust. Well, she's certainly not acting like the mother of a billionaire. Evelyn made a broken sound. That sound destroyed whatever restraint Lucas had left. What exactly have you been doing to her? He demanded. Miranda swallowed but refused to drop her arrogance. If she weren't so dramatic, maybe I wouldn't have to discipline her. She keeps. Discipline? He said softly. You tied her to a chair. To keep her still. You forced her to scrub floors? She needs to be useful. You screamed at her? Someone had to. You hit her. Silence. Miranda blinked twice. Lucas's jaw clenched so tight his muscles shook. Did you hit my mother? Miranda crossed her arms. Oh, get over it. I only pushed her. A little. When she talked back, Evelyn quietly began to cry. Lucas lifted his head slowly and looked at Miranda like a judge sentencing a criminal, except this judge's heart was breaking in real time. The rest happened in fragments. His mother fainted from stress. He caught her before she hit the ground. He carried her upstairs, put her in his own room, where she would be safe. He told the staff no one enters without his permission, not even his wife. He brought her water, covered her with a blanket, and held her hand while she slept. For almost an hour, he just watched her breathe, every breath carrying years of pain she never told him. He whispered apologies she couldn't hear. I should have protected you. I should have seen it. I'm so sorry, Mom. His tears fell silently. This woman, the woman who saved his life 1,000 times, who shielded him from a world that tried to make him feel small because of his skin, who never complained, never asked for anything. This is how she was repaid. By the woman he gave everything to. He felt sick, ashamed, furious, and when he finally stood up, something inside him had changed. The gentle billionaire was gone. The son, the protector, had awakened. He walked downstairs. Miranda was waiting with a glass of wine, pretending nothing serious had happened. Oh, so we're doing this? Turning this into a dramatic scene because your mother can't handle... Miranda, he said quietly. What? She smirked. You're leaving this house. The glass slipped from her hand and shattered. What did you say? You heard me. You're throwing me out? Over her. She laughed bitterly. Do you know what your precious mother did today? She... Miranda, he repeated. Get out. And if I don't? Lucas leaned close, voice like a blade dipped in ice. You laid your hands on my mother. You tied her. You belittled her. You made her fear her own home. And you think I'm going to let you stay? Miranda's face twisted. You're pathetic, she spat. Choosing that old woman over your wife. I am the reason society sees you as respectable without me. Lucas laughed once. You think I need you for respect? No, Miranda. You needed me. And you abused the one person I love more than my own life. His voice dropped lower. You're done. You can't be serious, she said. But Lucas was already dialing. Daniel, he said when the line picked up. Come here immediately. Bring the documents. Yes, sir, the attorney replied. Miranda's face drained of color. You're calling your lawyer? For what? Lucas stared straight at her. You're going to explain why my mother has rope marks on her arms. Miranda stepped back. Because she knew. She was finished. And this was only the beginning. Silence ruled the mansion. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that comes before a storm. Miranda paced near the staircase in sharp, irritated movements, her heels striking the marble like she was punishing the floor for daring to exist. Her breathing was fast, uneven, desperate, as if she was trying to outrun the truth that was finally catching up to her. But it was too late. There was no saving her now. Down the hallway, behind a locked door guarded by 2 staff members, Evelyn, Lucas's mother, lay resting. The soft rise and fall of her frail chest was proof that even broken hearts need sleep. Lucas checked on her one last time before facing the chaos downstairs. He pulled the blanket gently over her shoulders, brushed a silver strand of hair from her forehead like she used to do for him when he was a child, and whispered, "I swear to you, she will never hurt you again." Then he stepped out and closed the door with a quiet finality. Something in him shifted, like a soldier setting down grief and picking up armor. By the time he reached the staircase, headlights flashed through the tall windows. Daniel had arrived. Daniel Carter had been Lucas's attorney for 14 years. Clean-cut, sharp-eyed, and unshakably loyal. He carried a leather folder so full of documents that it barely closed. When he entered the foyer, the air changed, becoming heavy, serious, charged. Miranda folded her arms tightly across her chest and muttered, "Oh, wonderful. The legal circus has arrived." Daniel didn't even glance her way. His eyes went straight to Lucas, scanning him with quiet concern. "What happened?" he asked. Lucas didn't speak immediately. He simply glanced upstairs toward his mother's room. Daniel's expression hardened at once. "That bad?" Lucas nodded. Miranda scoffed dramatically, throwing her hands in the air. "Please, this is ridiculous. He's overreacting because his mother loves to play the fragile victim." Daniel finally turned his gaze toward her, and in that moment, his calm, razor-sharp stare made it clear he had seen enough cases to recognize guilt when it stood in front of him. "Mrs. Kingsley," he said evenly. "He called me because there appears to be evidence of abuse." Miranda barked a laugh. "Evidence? What evidence?" "A couple of old-age bruises." Lucas's voice dropped like a hammer. "Rope burns. On both wrists." That was the first time Miranda froze, just for a fraction of a second, but enough for both men to catch it. Daniel didn't blink. "How did she get those marks?" he asked. "I told you. She bruises easily." "That is not what he asked," Lucas said coldly. Miranda took a breath but didn't answer. Daniel opened the bulging folder on the dining table and spread it out. Miranda frowned. "What is all that?" "Anonymous reports," Daniel said. "From staff members." Miranda snapped her head toward Lucas. "Anonymous? Really? So now the help gets to make up stories." Daniel tapped a sheet with his pen. "These reports say your mother-in-law was forced to do chores. Scrubbing floors, washing laundry, cleaning bathrooms." Miranda scoffed. "She lives here for free. She should contribute." Daniel ignored her. He turned another page. Staff also confirmed they were not allowed to help her. They were threatened with termination if they did. Miranda rolled her eyes. "So?" Next page. "They report hearing shouting, insults, remarks about worthlessness, and being a burden." Miranda didn't deny it. Then Daniel lifted a heavier sheet and slid it toward her. "And this," he said quietly, "is the most serious." "What now?" she said with forced annoyance. "Security camera footage." Her face drained of color. What footage?" she whispered. "The camera you forgot about," Daniel said. "The back hallway. The one the staff uses." Lucas crossed his arms. Miranda's throat bobbed nervously. Daniel continued. "It shows you dragging a kitchen chair down the hall. Moments later, you return holding the rope. Then the audio picks up your voice saying, 'Stop squirming. This is for your own good.'" Miranda staggered back as if hit by a moving wall. That's not, you're twisting everything." "Mrs. Kingsley," Daniel said, "do you deny tying your mother-in-law to a chair?" She hesitated. That hesitation sealed her fate. "Answer the question," Lucas thundered. The entire mansion trembled with the force of his voice. Miranda flinched. Her lips parted, then closed. And finally, quietly, she whispered, "I restrained her." Lucas's fists tightened. Daniel nodded once. "Legally, that is assault. And unlawful confinement." Miranda gasped. "Are you kidding me?" She was being impossible. Lucas stepped closer. "You tied a 70-year-old woman to a chair. She wouldn't stop wandering. She touched things. She's old." Lucas's eyes darkened. "She is my mother," Miranda exploded. "And she's been a burden since the day she moved in. She made the house look messy. She embarrassed us in front of guests." Lucas blinked. "Embarrassed you?" Miranda didn't stop. "High society people don't want to see an old black woman shuffling around like—" She froze too late. The words hung like poison in the air. A slow, icy calm spread across Lucas's face. Daniel inhaled sharply. Miranda panicked. "I didn't mean it. I just—" "Say it again," Lucas whispered. "Say it." Miranda stuttered. "You're turning this into a race thing. You made it a race thing the moment you treated her like a servant." "Lucas, I'm your wife," she cried. "No," he said. "You're a stranger with my last name." Daniel lifted the folder. "Depending on Lucas's decision, this may become a criminal case." Miranda spun toward Lucas in horror. "Criminal? Lucas, tell him. This was just a disagreement. A misunderstanding." Lucas shook his head slowly. "This wasn't a disagreement. This was cruelty." "Lucas, please," she sobbed. "You can't throw me away like trash." "I didn't throw you," he said softly. "You walked yourself to the edge." Then, with calm finality, he said, "Daniel, file for divorce." Miranda collapsed, screaming, begging, clawing at his leg. "Lucas, please. I'll lose everything." "You already lost everything the moment you touched her," he said, stepping away. Hours later, security escorted her out, kicking, screaming, then silent. Daniel left with the documents. The mansion finally breathed. Lucas returned to his mother's room. Evelyn was awake now, her warm, tired eyes softening when she saw him. "Baby, you look tired," she whispered. Lucas knelt by her bed. "Mom, why didn't you tell me?" She looked away. "I didn't want to be a burden." Lucas's throat tightened. "You could never be a burden." She touched his cheek gently. "I know you love her. I didn't want to interfere." Lucas held her hand tightly. "She hurt you." Tears filled Evelyn's eyes. "I tried to endure. I prayed she would change. But when she tied me that last time, I was afraid, Lucas." He closed his eyes in pain. "I'm here now," he whispered. "I'll make everything right." She stroked his cheek and smiled softly. "I trust you, baby." Weeks later, the divorce was finalized. Miranda left with money but no dignity. A restraining order barred her from coming near Evelyn. Lucas bought a warm, sunlit house for his mother, her lifelong dream. Caretakers treated her with respect. Lucas visited her every day. And every day she smiled again. One evening, as they sat on the porch, she whispered, "You saved me." Lucas shook his head. "No, Mom, you saved me first. I only returned the favor." The sun dipped low, golden and gentle, like dignity reborn, like justice breathing again. For the first time in months, his mother felt safe. And that safety, earned, deserved, painfully reclaimed, was the real ending. Not revenge, not anger, just peace. Peace earned, peace deserved. A peace she had been denied for far too long.